Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hold on. Let me play our countdown.
Sweet.
Dun, 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 dun. It is time for ChubbyRay Comics Roundtable. I'm so excited because I got the guest I've been trying to get. And this is the reason that we're going a little early. Because I got OmniBeau from Australia, from Melbourne, Australia. How you doing, partner?
Thank you very much for inviting me today, Ray. I really appreciate it, bro.
You're one of the people I've been trying. I wanted you. I wanted Sean from Comic Pals. I wanted Day from Omnidation. Of course I want Omar. But I'm not gonna get him. It's gonna be hard.
Of course you will. You can get Omar's been on Aussieverse a few times. You've just got to book it. I just
gotta bother him. I want to get OmniDog. So other people, but you were right on the top of my list. So I'm so glad. Number one, I'm glad that you agreed to do this. I appreciate it. We had to start early because what time is it in Australia?
It is 7:30 in the morning, and wow. I need to start work in about an hour and a half. So,
and I had this show scheduled to start, which would have been at 9 a.m. your time. So I moved it up. Yeah. I moved it. Mike, OmniBeau is worth it, and I'm going to refer to you as OmniBeau or Beau.
Well, I know there's such things as world clocks, but I use James for that, and he told me that it was 8 o'clock my time. So,
maybe
James, you're letting us down, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to get you because now we could talk comics. All right, so this is pretty standard question for everybody. Let me know how did you get into comics?
I was reading. Oh, sorry, I wasn't reading when I was a kid, and my dad really wanted me to read. So I started buying those Choose Your Own Adventure books with Steve Livingston and all of those ones. They were pretty popular back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then my dad, he knew how much comics were worth years and years later. So he went into a comic book store in the 90s and bought all these number ones, not realizing that it was the 90s and everything's a number one back then. He expected every comic to be worth a lot. So he dumped me a whole stack and said, here you go. And in them was The Death of Superman.
Oh, wow.
It was Venom Lethal Protector #1. And that I was hooked ever since, bro.
I think it's awesome. So you were really young when you started.
Yeah, I was 9 years old, I think.
And that's probably when I started. Is right around, or no, I started. Yeah. What's second grade, third grade? That's like 6 or 7. Yeah, I was right around
there. About there.
Yeah. And it changes your life. By the way, you got me.
Oh yeah, man. Now I'm 43.
Did he get you any bag? Did you get a bagged one?
Yeah, I did. In fact,
that's a Superman bag. You got to get one, brother.
I've got the armband right here.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Because I'm selling the Death of Superman Omni now with the third triangle years coming out.
Yeah. Are you selling? Do you have the expensive one? You're selling the omnibus. Okay.
You mean that set down there?
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, there we go. Look at that, everybody. Show that again. That's awesome. Have you guys seen the Tombstone version?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. Look, I don't even have that. I do not have that.
1 sec.
That's awesome.
Oh, we are stuffing this camera up. Hang on. There we go. Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Very nice.
I was so I couldn't believe I got one because I pre-ordered.
What are those going for on eBay? Those got to be for quite a chunk of money.
You know what? I haven't checked, but I've heard, now they're kind of expensive. Yeah.
I'll be damned. Yeah, that's cool.
With only like 1,993 made, I can't.
I didn't want to get one because This is because I thought, how's that going to fit on a shelf? It's not, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't
So that's
fit.
why I didn't get it, is just
Yeah.
because I didn't know how it would fit on the shelf.
Yeah, man. Javier, dude, I've got to give a shout out to Javier because he's always in the Aussieverse chat. So good to see you, buddy. And you're right, I will be putting that out on Halloween.
Awesome. Thanks, Javier. There's already people in. Now listen, if anybody has questions, if you guys got questions, go ahead and ask. But the way Roundtable works is it's just we're just gonna talk comics. I wanted to get the origin story first. I got OmniBeau's origin story. You know, when did comics become really important? Like, I mean, I remember reading my first comic. I remember how I got into them, but when they became super important to me, you know what I mean? I remember that. When did that happen for you? When did it go from a simplest little thing to this is really? When did it move up your priority list?
So it actually wasn't that far off when I started reading. I started being addicted to Spider-Man around. It would have been maybe about a year before the Clone Saga, right?
Oh, wow, okay.
So I'm reading Spider-Man and I'm loving it. And Spider-Man's just getting darker and darker and darker because of what he's going through with his parents and all that sort of stuff. And then when Ben Reilly showed up and it was Peter Parker and Ben Reilly first looking at each other, and they're like, you know, who are you? And that was the end of the issue. I was hooked. I thought, and
great era. That's a great era of books.
Well, a lot of people give shit to the Clone Saga, and I don't blame them. Don't get me wrong. I get it, but that just meant the world to me, man, because I was always looking at it through Ben Reilly's eyes, you know, and I sympathized with the character so much that he was forced to say goodbye to his life. Right. He was forced to say goodbye to Aunt May. He was forced to say goodbye to all of his friends and family. And no one cared. No one cared because he wasn't Peter Parker. Right. So then, you know, Aunt May gets sick and Ben tries to do the right thing and see Aunt May before she dies. And Peter just wasn't having a bar of it. You know, Peter was just like, F you, and was just bashing him. And Ben's like, dude, I don't want to fight you. I've just come here to see Aunt May. Give me a break. And from then I was just, I was on this Ben Reilly train, you know, and he made me a better person in real life.
I like how you had empathy. You immediately got empathy for not the lead character. I like that. I mean, it shows a lot about the person.
Well, yeah, I've gone on record before and said that, you know, the reason why Ben Reilly means so much to me is because he could have just stolen Peter Parker's life.
Yeah.
Very, very easily in multiple times during that saga. And the whole time he didn't. The whole time he was a better superhero and a better human being than Peter Parker was during that time.
And his costume, but when he first showed up, he had the when he first went out, he had the ripped up the hoodie, hoodie costume. I loved. That's my favorite. I think that's my favorite Spider-Man costume.
Well, I had Danny Fingeroth on Aussieverse recently, and he said that was all him.
I love it. I just love it. Sorry, my dog is making noise. Chester needs his treat. Hold on, OmniBeau. Chester needs his treats. Hold on, Chester.
What was the book that impacted your life the most? Made you want to become a better person? Well, before that, it was Mouse. That was probably one of the first comics I ever read because being a Jewish guy, my dad had that Mouse book and said, you know, I'm going to try and get my son to read. Plus, I wanted to learn about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
This is a good way to do it. And I read it cover to cover and I loved it. And that had a big impact on me.
I think it's, I mean, that's what comics are for. You know what I mean? I think when you get a comic that is, that can affect you like that, it is, it has such meaning because it is a comic and kids will take the comics. You know, right now there's someone on one of my regular viewers, who is, he's teaching young kids with dyslexia. He's teaching young kids with dyslexia to read by using comic books.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And my community has donated. We've donated a bunch of paperbacks to him because he's using mainly DC stuff, but he's using mainly DC heroes and trade paperbacks to teach these kids how to read. And I think it's such a special thing. And my wife is, oh my God, she's like, oh, we got to go to Ollie's. We got to go to Ollie's. Why? We got to go to Ollie's. We've got to get more books for the dyslexic kids. So, you know what I mean? It's just nice to see when you get, when you find something like that you want to get behind. I think it's so great that it's so great that comics can do that. I just think it's awesome. It means a lot.
I used to, so I won't say the suburbs because you're not going to know, but I used to, when I had like very limited friends growing up, and you're the long-haired Jewish glasses nerd reading comics, right? I used to take all my pocket money and catch the train and go all the way into the city to the comic book store and buy my weekly comics every single weekend. And there was nothing more. There was nothing that gave me happiness more than being on the train home and looking at all the covers going, ooh, can't wait to read this.
That was your weekly adventure, man. That was your adventure. That's awesome. Yeah. I got, with me, I was born in Chicago, and I spoke Spanish when I was really young. Then I was learning English, and I stuttered when speaking English.
I
didn't stutter when I spoke Spanish. I didn't stutter when I spoke Spanish, but I stuttered when I spoke English. And I moved from Chicago, Chicago is one of the most beautiful and most diverse cities in the world.
Yeah.
And I moved from there to this little town in Illinois that had 3,000 people in it. And it is mainly farmers and coal miners when I moved there. And it was all white. And I was like the only brown kid.
Mm.
And I had no friends when I first went there because, you don't have any friends. You're new. Yeah. And there was a kid in class that had a little bit of money, a little bit of stature, and a really, really nice kid. And I met him, and our bond was at the comics, buying comics at the dime store. There was a little place called the Dime Store where you can go buy your 15, 30-cent comic. And we met each other there, and I was like, oh, we're in the same class, and became friends. And it was through comics. That's the thing that you get from comics. It didn't matter. It didn't matter that one kid was cool and rich and popular, and another kid was this little fat Mexican kid who had just moved to town that knew nobody. Okay.
Yeah.
The comics brought us because we had one thing in common. The thing in common was we loved to read comics, and it ended up making us very good friends. And he's who I traded my Micronauts #1 to for the Legion of Superheroes, that the comic that changed my life and made me such a huge fan of comics. And and it was, and also, by the way, it also made me go from being a poor kid in school and was, they attended bullying. I mean, and then that ended up being the thing that made me, that in sports is what made me go from being the unknown poor kid to eventual class president and one of the cool kids in school. I mean, it was comics. So that's the kind of bond we get from comics is you have an instant community in the world of comics. And it's not so much anymore because times have changed. It's not, I had a music scholarship. So, kids were different in the 1970s and 80s than they are now. It's like now kids celebrate diversity and stuff. I think it's a wonderful time as compared to like when I was growing up. You grew up in the 90s, like you said. I was already, I was hosting my own radio show in the 90s when the Death of Superman was changed the world. I remember people lining up outside a comic store and TV cameras covering it, and we broadcast live and all that stuff because of how big a time that was. for you, that's when you were first getting into comics. Batman's back being broken, Superman dying, Green Lantern becoming evil, Green Arrow dying. All that stuff sort of happened at once. That's when you got into comics.
Yeah, which is why I think I've always. So first off, it's weird that Spider-Man is my favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I like dark, gritty comics, right? And when I got into Spider-Man was getting dark, right? And as you said, all of the comics were getting dark because that's what they wanted at the time. So today, I love the Punisher and I love, Criminal, Rick Remender, Criminal, and Brubaker, sorry, and things like that. And it's funny that Spider-Man is still there because Spider-Man typically is not a dark comic. Spider-Man is quite a funny comic, right? But I've just always really dug the drama, when it comes to comics, the real dark stuff. And, I never had friends in primary school or high school that ever liked comics. It was always just me. It wasn't until I was an adult that I met people that liked comics.
I'm going to turn to Sin's Past as you're talking about Dark Spider-Man.
Yeah,
story.
don't you bloody well dare.
I'm gonna go to it and I'm going to read aloud to you. There have been some times of Spider-Man that get pretty dark,
Yeah.
JMS did some amazing things.
Which is why in the latest run, you know how they did the whole Green Goblin spear thing and it went into Spider-Man and made him the Spider Goblin. Did you read all that?
I haven't read that. No, I started. I am right now. I was one of these people who was so offended by One More Day. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was such an amazing story, but I hated what they did. And I refused to read Brand New Day for a long, long time. Finally this year, I read it. I read volume 1. And when I finished volume 1, I was blown away by how good it was. And I immediately read volume 2. I mean, I read them back to back in like 2 weeks' time. It was so good. It blew my mind how much I loved Brand New Day.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that you find it reasonable or plausible that Peter Parker would give up his marriage to save an elderly woman that he loves, I know, but is closer to death than most of us anyway?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That I just
I know. Listen, and he wasn't the only one. Mary Jane decided to give it up too.
Yeah,
my wife would never give up the marriage. She would never allow me to do it. But
I'd never give up what I've got with my partner as well. I mean, it's easy for me to say I don't have an Aunt May, but I'm just saying, like, I just can't imagine. Aunt May herself would have turned around to Peter and Mary Jane and said, "What are you doing? You're crazy. Let me go."
But but that's I think I always thought that was, but somehow Aunt May became younger and all this too. I'm not sure how it happened.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
There's the implausible parts of it. I mean, I did think it was an amazing story and an amazing ending, but what it did, the results were I was angry. I was angry at the results of One More Day and so I refused to read and I didn't read Brand New Day until 2026. That's how long I've got now. I bought all of it. I got Nick Spencer's run. Have never read it. I've got Spencer's run. I've got Joe Kelly Omnibus. I have Dark Web. I have Gang War. I've read Gang War. I liked it. So I do have the omnibuses, but I haven't read them yet. But I've read Brand New Day 1 and 2, and I'm really looking forward to volume 3.
Look, man,
It
I've
is
got
weird
friends
though.
that refuse to buy Spider-Man
You
because
wouldn't even buy it?
no. I'm saying I've got friends
Oh
that
yeah, okay.
refuse to buy Spider-Man because what's his name? Tom Bruford? I always get his name wrong. Apparently he's the one that came out, and I always thought it was Joe Quesada, but apparently it's Tom Bruford. God, I always get that name wrong. Apparently he came out and said, "Look, Spider-Man is our top-selling book, and Mary Jane and him will never be together again, ever, because they don't need to be." So I've got friends that refuse to buy Spider-Man to show Marvel that they're wrong, because how else are you going to show anything? You show with your wallet. But I can't do that because I agree with them,
Yeah.
but I still want to read Spider-Man.
Let me ask you, who do you think Peter should be with?
Oh, Mary Jane, 100%.
You think that's no matter what, that would
Yeah.
you be okay if they put him with Felicia Hardy?
So Felicia Hardy has always been that soft spot, right?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about this. I was thinking we had a stream a few weeks ago and it came up and I was like, you know what? Oh, I know what it was for. I did a video on Valentine's Day. You know what? Peter Parker should be with Felicia Hardy. You know what I mean? If he can't be with Mary Jane,
yeah, okay.
I'd accept Felicia Hardy.
If he can't be with Mary Jane, yes. Felicia. But Mary Jane is his soulmate, and I will go to my grave with that. How dare you allow Superman and Lois Lane to get married, have children, progress in life, and all these other characters grow up and progress, and Spider-Man progressed and grew up for years as well, but he can't be married to Mary Jane? Get stuffed.
It's very strange. One More Day, for a long time, it made me angry. I hated Mephisto, but I also thought, I'm like, one day they're going to fix it. One day they're going to fix it. But they never have.
Yeah.
They've come up with alternatives, like the Ultimate Comics were an alternative to it all. Because in both Ultimate Comics universes, we've seen Peter and MJ together. But in the main 616 universe, they're destined to not be together. And I wonder how long. I wonder if that's forever or if they're going to go back on what they've said.
There's an upcoming issue with a cover of Peter and Mary Jane kissing and the Venom symbiote going like that. And I haven't read that issue yet. So unless it's just a cover, which in this day and age, I wouldn't be surprised, I'm wondering, are they going to get back together? But they're also now hinting at Mary Jane and Flash Thompson.
Yeah, but but Mary Jane's with Paul's her boyfriend now, right?
They broke up.
When did they break up?
She dumped him.
They were still together during the All New Venom.
She dumped him now.
Okay, during the All New Venom paperback, they were together.
Yeah,
I'll be damned. But he was, that Paul guy seems like a really, really good guy. They almost made him too nice.
He really is a good guy, but I just wish he'd die already.
I can't root for the death. I can't root for death of such a nice person. I
don't want Mary Jane to have anyone else. Peter Parker.
But you know what? It's seeing her happy. Let's see Mary Jane happy. I would love to see an established run of Peter and Felicia. Just to see as a couple with. If I was a writer, I would love to deal with that. I think there's amazing stories in there.
Oh no, well, yeah, you're right. There is, because I don't really want to say it on air, but she's the girlfriend that makes you step out of your box. Let's just say, there's where Matt Murdock hooks up with Felicia in. I want to say it's during Daredevil, and there's a jealousy that Peter gets. Yeah.
With Murdock ending up with her that I think there was something there, and I think they could
Yeah.
have played with that a lot more.
Well,
And
there's
they
an
might have
upcoming
missed
issue as
the,
well. I can't remember if it's Black Cat or Punisher. I think it's Black Cat, and I think it's just the cover. But there's a cover coming up of Black Cat where she's in like they're insinuating that the Punisher and Black Cat slept together in this issue. But yeah, I think it's just the cover.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I would have Peter and Black and Felicia together, and have whenever like Johnny Storm comes up or Matt Murdock comes up or any of the other heroes that she slept with. I just think that would be interesting to play with as a writer.
Yeah.
You know how
It's
Peter,
almost like Captain America and the Wasp and Hank.
yeah, Peter acting like it doesn't bother him when it does. I think that would be. I think they could have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of there's a few threesome conversations that I'd like to see. Like imagine sitting down with Tony Stark, Cyclops, and Emma Frost as well.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
who hasn't Tony Stark slept with? Tony Stark's been,
that'd be awkward.
He's also been with Black Cat. He's been with who is the one he's with now? The why am I forgetting her name?
The one he's with now, Tony Stark.
Yeah, he
who's he with? Madam Mask.
Yeah, he's been with Madam Mask. He's been with
okay.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Stark's in the Fraction run. He hooked up with several different people. Tony Stark is probably the one who sees the most action of anybody besides Felicia Hardy in the Marvel Universe.
So we got Cliff here, and he goes, did we forget that Felicia rejected? And by the way, Cliff was the mate that I was talking about when he's like, show Marvel with your wallets. You know,
so he's the one who will not buy Spider-Man books.
Yeah.
I love it.
But he goes, do we forget that Felicia rejected Peter when she found out he was Spider-Man? Yeah, look, that did happen, but they've also since then.
Yeah, she went back to,
explained, you know, why. That was like the young Felicia.
I'll tell you, in the Jed McKay run of Black Cat, they faked the wedding.
Yeah.
And I love that. I loved, and they had really fun. They had fun art on the covers and stuff of that Black Cat.
Yeah.
Of the Black Cat Spider-Man wedding was really cool. So they've had fun with it. But I think that a writer could have a lot of fun with, I think a writer could have a ton of fun with, you know, Felicia Hardy.
Well, now she's into women as well, which now she's into women as far as I know.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't think she's ever not been into women. I think she's into anybody.
Yeah, I just don't remember her ever being bisexual. Not that it matters, but I just don't ever remember it. But now that she is, you could have a lot more other.
Oh yeah, I love it. But I would love to see that with Peter being bothered because, well, she did sleep with Tony Stark. She has slept with Matt Murdock. She has slept. You know, they should have her sleep with Mary Jane. Oh my God, there you go. God, I mean, if you're a writer, you know what I mean. If you are a writer, imagine the fun you could have with that.
That would be so. Oh man, I don't even know. Like I'm guessing funny.
I tell you, I love what Ryan North did with her in the Fantastic Four. How Sue Storm hates her. Yeah, but Sue actually helped her.
I read
Sue actually helped her when she was arrested for the bank robbery thing. I think that Felicia Hardy, her relationships with other women is very interesting. So to see her actually hook up with a woman sexually, especially if it's someone that Peter has been with, would be an amazing story. I would love to read that.
Which brings me to another point, actually, with that Black Cat, Invisible Woman issues. And would they get Sandman to pick a bloody side already? Like, what the hell, man? The guy reforms, becomes an Avenger, becomes Sable's Wild Pack. Then he's a baddie again. Yeah. Then he has a daughter, and he's good again. Now he's bad again. Like, for crying out loud.
And the same one is the Rhino is the other one that they've done, that they've sort of
I
think that I don't know if that's editorial boredom or if the writers are bored trying to
It's
find.
just so dumb.
Yeah,
Like, you
but
give these characters growth,
yeah,
and then they
exactly.
just get reverted back.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I would like to see. That's why I would like to see. You know, a decidedly thing. Peter, Mary, and Felicia Hardy would be a decided choice. Here we go. We're going this way. And they could at least hang with for a while.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem with comics. A lot of times they will take a grow. They'll take a jump and grow something or evolve someone. And then they immediately replace it. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of really giving it a chance to work.
We can have every child that gets created in the Marvel Universe grow up like that.
Yeah, they have it. Yeah, they age them up. It's like soap operas. They age them up.
Yeah, but you can't, like, oh God, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's go on to something positive.
Yeah. Oh, let me see if I'm missing questions, because I'm so into the conversation that I'm not. Is that the second? Yes, I did. I bought another single issue. This weekend I went to a comic store and I found X of Swords. X of Swords.
I got some single issues recently.
I got it's sealed. It's sealed and brand new. I got X of Swords. Nice. And I found this and I'm like, you know what? I got issue 1. I loved it. So I'm going to get issue 2 as well. So there is a single issue.
There is another variant cover of that Iron Man that is so similar to that one. It's just like, it's a different, there's something different in the mask, but there's 2 different covers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is I just saw this and grabbed it.
Yeah. So that's the standard, I think. And then there's another one.
I wish I'd have seen the other one. I would have bought both if I'd have seen them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Cliff, for that tasteless comment. We really appreciate it, Cliff. Thank you. The real question is Peter delivering that good.
Tom Jr. Jackson, I appreciate getting people to sub to me, but get them to sub to Aussieverse, not OmniBeau. I don't even. Do you know how annoying people keep subbing to OmniBeau, and I'm like, no, sub to Aussieverse.
Aussieverse, AUSSIE verse. Isn't that how you spell it?
Yeah, yeah.
How long have you been doing YouTube content?
For probably about 5 years now. Before Aussieverse, I had another show that I started that, to cut a long story short, had too many chefs in the kitchen, and it didn't end well. Everybody just got angry with everybody. So that only lasted about a year. And then I said to myself, well, screw it. I'll just do something different on my own. And I got my 2 mates, Steve and Sharif, and we started Aussieverse. So it's been about 4 years we've been doing Aussieverse now.
That's awesome.
Great, yeah.
It's so weird, me being in the middle of the country of the United States to YouTube is so different, because I now, will watch a show from Australia, these guys from halfway around the world. And, I feel like we've never met, but I feel like we're friends because of, an instant connection because of our bond of comics and stuff. But I'll watch you guys on Aussieverse, and it's so strange that it seems like only 10 years ago this was unheard of, but now I have a kinship with you guys from around the world.
Well, as much as it sucks with the time difference, the one good thing about it is that while I'm at work, yourself and other friends that have their own channels, they go live during my work hours, which is a double-edged sword, because I can't really join when I'm invited, but I can put you guys on in the background and listen while I'm going about my work, and every now and then drop a comment. So that's pretty
cool. No, I think that is cool. What do you when you got to work in the comic shop, what made you decide to work at a comic shop? How did you apply? Give us the origin story of OmniBeau as a comic store employee.
There's not much that I can really reveal about that.
You can't reveal much about it. Okay.
Yeah, but it's let's just say after nearly 45 years of being alive, I've finally found a job that I enjoy, and it's a blessing. It's a real blessing.
So you had another career,
Oh yeah, I've
and
had
then
a
you
few.
decided, screw it, I want to work.
Yeah,
And you found a comic shop and went in and said, "Hey, can I work here?" Or
kind of. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was through knowing people as well.
oh, see, now I really want to hear the story. Now I really want to hear. But you did. What was your other job that you did? What was your career that you were in?
The one just before that, I had been in the plumbing industry, not as a plumber, but as scheduling, admin, invoicing, all that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I was doing that for years, and it was a horrible job
Was it a family
because
business or something? Your plumbing business, or
no, it wasn't my family, but the last one was a family-owned business,
okay?
and it was horrible. It was horrible because first of all, plumbers here in Australia, and I'm gonna get some hate for this if plumbers are watching, but you know what? Plumbers probably don't read comics. It's
Only
they
the cool
they get paid so much that
really?
and yeah, tradies get paid so much here in Australia that they almost, and I'm not going to say all of them because obviously you can't, it's like being racist towards tradesmen, but a big majority of them, because they've been getting paid so much for so long, they really have a bad attitude of, I don't need to do this. I can go get a job anywhere. I can pick my jobs. And on top of it as well, which is really unfair, is so in Australia, we have long service leave, right? And if you've been working at a job for 7 years, your long service leave starts accruing then, right? And then if you get to 10 years, you get like 3 months off paid leave. You know what I mean? But if you quit that job and go to another job, that starts all over again.
It's all over. Okay.
But in the plumbing industry, that's not what happens. You carry that to every
Oh,
job.
really? It carries over on it? Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
it's awesome for them.
Yeah, it's not awesome for the people who own the company, but
yeah. So when you've quit school, which a lot of them have, you've gone to be a tradesman. You're making more money than all of your friends. You're now an adult who's still making more money than all of your friends. Your long service leave is carried. You're walking around like, hey, man, and I'm traveling the world. I'm doing all of these things now. And everybody else that's working 9 to 5 is suffering.
Why is plumbing and the wages so why? What happened in your country that made the wages so high?
No idea, man. No
Just
idea.
because it's a needed. Well, think about it. The one thing that will screw up your life is having a messed up bathroom or a messed up sink or, you know what I mean? It is something that really screws up your life.
Well, the average pay here in Australia would probably be, give or take, I'd say somewhere between around $30 an hour, maybe, right? 25 to $30 an hour. Plumbers will get, like, I've seen guys getting paid $60 an hour.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And that's just insane. Insane. So anyway, because of that, they're very hard to work with. They don't live in the same world that we do, where if I lose my job, I am screwed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pay my rent. I don't know what to do. But if a plumber loses their job, they don't care. Because there's so many plumbing jobs out there.
There's a lot of, here's what this tells me. There's a lot of toilet issues in Australia. That's what I've learned.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because I thought plumbers were just toilets and sinks, but no, man. Plumbers are doing roofing. Plumbers are doing gutters. Plumbers do a lot.
Well, think about it. There's no new construction that doesn't need a plumber.
Yeah.
Whenever they build anything, you need a plumber during the construction part. Because think about it. You got to have pipes run through your house or run through your business.
So I left that industry because plumbers were just incredibly hard to work for. And my last boss was just a nutcase. she was married to the owner of the business,
Oh yeah,
and
that's never good.
and
Yeah, it's never
it
good.
was just horrible to work for her. And every day I woke up hating life.
By the way, Tom says the cosmos is vibrating, timelines misfiring. Sub to Aussieverse before the universe asks why you're slacking. Ascend, traveler. YouTube.com/@Aussieverse. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, Tom. I
Wow.
love it. Tom gives the best. He does best plugs.
That's pretty
Best
good.
plugs
I've
of
got to
anybody
admit,
on
James,
YouTube.
you need to up your game, brother.
Love it. Let's see. Logan says, cool. Ray and Bo link up. What's good, fellas?
Logan,
By the way,
good
I
to
want to
see
thank
you.
Omar. I got to thank Omar again. The reason that I became friends with OmniBeau is Omar. Everybody that I've met cool is, and you know, because my backgrounds, I've come from the world of broadcasting, and the world of broadcasting, it's a bunch of dicks. It really, and I was one of them. I admit I was one of them. Especially the more famous you get, the bigger your head gets, and that's a bigger dick. And at one point, I got pretty well known. So broadcasting is so different from now that I'm able to do this, and this world is so. It's just, I'm telling you, the comics world is the best thing I've ever been part of. I really,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm very, very happy doing what I do now.
Thank you, Comics and Tortillas. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, even if I gave up YouTube tomorrow, the best thing that I can say is there's really two groups that I've realized that I've become friends with, two circles, and it's the Omar, Jess, yourself, Sean, Dom, all of that group. And then there's another group, which is where I met Cliff, and there's a few Australian people and a few Americans as well. And a little bit has merged a crossover with Cliff and all that. But all of these people I never would have met if I didn't do this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you know what, Ray? I love your voice. You have
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
such a wonderful voice.
Oh,
I can see
thank
why
you.
would
Wow.
be on radio.
And I was just a little fat kid who stuttered when I was a kid.
No,
It's
you
really amazing,
do, man. You've got a great voice.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I love your voice too. No, I think I try to impersonate you. I would love to get the Australian accent down, and I try, but I just can't.
It's so hard, man. It's so hard.
It's so
like I can do an American accent, but I can't do Boston or New
exactly.
York. I can't change it.
I have friends from England and Australia now, and it's very easy. It seems very easy for my friends from the UK and Australia to do an American accent.
Oh yeah.
Same with actors. You see great actors and stuff, or actresses come over and they knock out American accents like nothing. But you very rarely see an American pulling off an English or Australian or Irish or Scottish accent. It's very
I've always
rare.
found accents to be really easy. Really, really easy to imitate, especially American, because with American, all you got to do, is R.
It's really weird because Australia is not that dissimilar from the Southern accent of America.
Oh, okay.
So if you start impersonating someone from the South, if you start impersonating someone from the South, if you start impersonating them, and by the way, you have high money people from the South, and then you have really poor people. Then you have poor people from the South that kind of, if you go from a really Southern accent, you could sort of start becoming a little bit. You could start becoming Australian. I can't get to it now, but it's easier to go from Southern accent to Australian.
You sounded exactly like Blanche at the start from Golden Girls. I swear.
Well, that's because there's the Southern hospitality. I've got the vapor, something awful. You know what I mean? That's the Southern accent, but it's not that dissimilar from the Australian accent. And I don't know what the backgrounds are, but I would love to be able to do a proper Australian, or because using my
My
voice.
favorite is Scottish. I really enjoy doing the Scottish accent.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I can't understand it very much, but I love talking it.
yeah, the Scottish accent's fun, man. I like learning. I do like learning accents.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to. We talk Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Let's get to. I want to give you another big hero. All right, in the Marvel universe, the Avengers. Do you remember early aughts when the Avengers was the focus of everything with Marvel ran through the Avengers?
Yeah.
Remember Avengers Disassembled and New Avengers, and that led to House of M, and that led to Civil War, and it led to Dark Reign.
To me, that is peak.
Fear itself.
That is
Yes,
peak Marvel.
Yes, the Brian Michael Bendis era of Marvel will go down in history as one of the greatest comic eras of all time.
Yep. It's why.
How does Marvel fix that? How does Marvel get back to that?
I don't think they want to, which is what sucks. I mean, let's be real. DC have been kicking Marvel's ass in comics for ages now, right?
Yes.
Marvel, and again, I don't mean to be negative, but I'm just going to be real. Marvel just don't seem to care anymore about their comic book buyers to a degree where what I'm trying to say is they care more about synergy. They care more about the games and tying stuff in like that. They care about their new readers is what I should say. They don't care about people that have basically spent all of their money for 40 years buying comics. They just don't care.
Do you think it's when Disney bought them that this happened? Because in the early aughts, Disney did not own Marvel. They were their own company. They were a publicly traded company on their own.
I'd love to blame Disney because that's easy, but I don't think that's really it. I really think it's the people in control. Like this whole, okay, I know it sounds silly saying the whole Mary Jane not being with Peter thing, but that's a good example of, I'm sure if you ask 100 people like Family Feud who Spider-Man should be with, you're going to get different answers. But the top answer is going to be Mary Jane.
Mary Jane, yes. Yeah.
Right? So why wouldn't you give your audience what they want?
And in fact, like you mentioned earlier, they actually mentioned, they went public and said they'll never be together.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what most fans want, especially long-term fans. For them to say, no matter what you do, no matter what you do, we're never going to give it to you.
I started to get really turned off Marvel when Nick Fury Jr. became the Nick Fury of the 616.
Yeah. Don't you think that was because of the movies? I mean,
yeah, it was. But that's when I personally said this is going downhill because, it's a writer's job to write something that you can't foresee or that makes you go, oh, wow, or that keeps you engaged. Now, how easy would it have been for them to just simply say, which I think they retconned later where now he's Nick Fury Jr., right? But they tried to replace him originally with Nick Fury's now on the moon with the Watcher, now Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. It was just they didn't care about their past. Yeah, all they cared about was moving forward with the synergy.
Their thing was like, oh, just give me anything. Just give us anything to make that true. And then the writers are scrambling, trying to come up with something that makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's the reason that I ask is this. Okay. If we do conclude the thing that screwed up Marvel is Disney buying it, okay, then, and we love DC now. We love DC because they've really been making all the right moves for the last 10 years.
Disney definitely stuffed up the MCU 100%.
Well, I mean, it seems like Disney bought the comic company. They bought the comic company just so they could own the movie rights. So they bought the comic company for the IP. And then they said, okay, well, we also got to put these comics out. So just do that, whatever. However, they have done very well with collected editions. I will say ever since Disney has taken over Marvel, Disney has looked at the bottom line and said, okay, let's concentrate more on collected editions, which is great. But the reason I ask is this. DC Comics is in the process of being purchased. And how are the new owners of DC Comics going to screw them up? So I think it goes to the bigger picture of, if we use Disney and Marvel as an example, how fearful are we for the future of DC Comics?
The way I look at that, if you're asking me personally,
I am, because I think you're an expert. That's why I'm asking.
I like to try to be a bit more positive, because I have so much negativity in my life anyway.
Right.
That I think to myself, and I use this with most things these days. Even when I'm looking forward to a movie, we don't know if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. So there is no point worrying about something being bad until it is bad. Right?
Okay, I see that, yeah.
Then you can deal with it. Otherwise, you're going through weeks or years of this anguish in your mind of, oh no, DC's going to be bought. What's going to happen to my this and that's all valid. Don't get me wrong, but what's the point? You know, like it's almost like the opposite of when you are expecting your boss to give you a pay rise, or when you want to do a job, right? I always say to my partner, always expect the worst, because if you're expecting the worst to happen, then then not only are you prepared for that, but anything else that happens is a bonus.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I do the opposite with that when it comes to what's going to happen with the future of comics. I like to stay positive, and if it's going to be negative, then I'll deal with it then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think my concern is with DC being purchased. I remember when all this stuff was coming down with Warner Brothers and Netflix was buying Warner Brothers. Netflix was specifically asked about DC Comics, and Ted Sarandos was the CEO of Netflix. And Sarandos said, well, we need the IP for it, so we're never going to get rid of DC Comics. We have to own it in order for the movie rights and blah, blah, blah. But he said, our goal would be to keep the same people in charge of it. He goes, in fact, we would actually keep them in the same building. They would just stay as if, and they would be given an annual budget from us every year to keep things going the same. Paramount won't even comment on what they're planning on doing with DC Comics. So that's where my concern comes in, is I'm not even hearing anything about DC Comics. And that scares me a little bit. I wish we could, even if we just heard one of the Ellisons or somebody in charge of Paramount saying, yeah, DC Comics doing great. We're just going to keep them as they are. But we haven't heard that. The only thing I've heard is that Paramount is in so much debt now because of this purchase. They're going to be $81 billion in debt or something. And that there are budget cuts coming across the board for the properties they just bought. And that
I don't
scares the hell out of me.
I don't think it's going to be a problem, because when you're in that much debt, you got an option, right? You either sell DC Comics and try to make some of that money back, or you continue and keep making money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we said that DC is kicking Marvel's ass, and they are. Right? That's not an opinion, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Right? At the comic book store, DC is outselling Marvel hand over fist every month. Right?
Absolute Batman is the biggest selling title, isn't it, right now in comics?
It's made millions. I don't know if it's made billion. No, it's made millions of dollars for DC. Right? Now, I have been a lifelong Marvel fan.
Mm-hmm.
With loving, the only parts of DC that I would love would be Superman, Green Lantern, a little bit of Flash and their events, right? Mm-hmm. and some Batman, right? Now, because of DCKO, I'm a big crossover guy, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a whole section of crossovers. I don't care what the crossover is. I love crossovers, right? So when I found out that DCKO was going to have Vampirilla, it was going to have Sabrina, it was going to have all of these guest stars, right?
Homelander.
I instantly went, oh my God, I need to read this, right? So I haven't read DC for a very long time. And I jump into DCKO, right? And I'm loving it, right? DCKO is now finished. I loved it. And what's happened at the end of that? Now I'm reading all 4 Superman titles monthly. I'm now reading Green Lantern. I'm now reading. So my point is that DCKO did what it was meant to do, and that's get more readers in, right? If DC can get a lifelong Marvel fan to now be converted over to DC, imagine I can't be the only one. You know, we've got 8 billion people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be thousands of OmniBeaus out there that are like, oh yeah, DCKO, right? So
in the world handles thousands of OmniBeaus.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm just there's got to be the same, right? Marvel just seems to be for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, even
when
things
at least that's they're focused on the kids.
Yeah. Even when things are really serious now in Marvel and it's really, really serious, it's still a little immature.
Mm-hmm.
Where DC, it's like they're writing, it's like the wrestling. Marvel is WWE PG's era, and DC are like the old freaking Nitro era and Attitude era. That's the way I see it.
I think DC is, if you ask DC who their focus is, I think the focus at DC is on a 40-year-old man. And then they say, what about the young kids? Well, we have compact comics for them.
Yeah.
Marvel, who's your focus on? Well, we're focused on 12-year-old boys. And so the focus is different between these two companies because Disney sees them as they're 12-year-old now. We're going to grow them up watching our movies and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I do like the way how DC Comics says, no, we would like to turn 20-year-old boys into lifelong readers of the comics content. And of course, our movie division has all that stuff to make movies. Disney, it seems to be the movie division has to work with the comic division, and there's got to be more synergy, and everything's got to do this and this. And I think the way that DC separates them seems to be a lot smarter than what Marvel's doing.
I mean, don't understand how you can't do everything. You're a comic book company. You should be able to have your black label horror, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You should be able to have your general universe, 616, whatever. Then you have your children's label.
Yep.
Why is it just one thing?
It's dumb. I think DC is separating that. They have the comics.
Yeah.
Everybody. They have everybody. They have the compact line for kids. They also have your cartoon like character for kids. And then they have your Vertigo line for a different fan of book. And then they have their movie studio separate from the comic studio. And then you have a guy in charge of the movie studio and James Gunn and David Safran, who are fans of the comics. So they're never going to do anything to hurt the comics. But meanwhile, I think you have Marvel and you have the movie studio envelopes everything. Everything is in conjunction with the movie studio. Like they're telling Marvel, you need to do this and this and this and this. Meanwhile, DC seems to be like, okay, we're going to continue to base our movies. We will continue to base the movies on what you have put in the comics first. So they're not dictating what the comics put in. They're saying if the comics come out with anything good enough, we'll make a movie based on that. But the main point is not to dictate to the comics what needs to be. And I think Disney is doing it the other way. I think Disney's movie studio is dictating to the comics what they have to have in it. And I think you hit it in the head perfectly with the Nick Fury thing.
Well, when the synergy was still early, right? It wasn't that bad. I was a little annoyed at the whole Sam Jackson, Nick Fury thing. But it wasn't that bad. Like, the new Shield omnibus that just came out?
Yeah.
Or is
based
coming
on the
out,
TV
right?
show.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually enjoyed those comics when I was reading them for the first time, because it was like the TV show, but in the 616. And that wasn't bad, because as a fan, we wanted that show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to cross over with the Marvel movies, right? And it wasn't really happening except for that one character in Coulson. So in the comics, it was happening, and that was cool. That's the way it should be done. Thank you so much, Spiral. But then it just got ridiculous, Then it just got ridiculous, like, for example, like, let's just say, I'm not saying this is what actually happened, but I'm just going to use She-Hulk as an example. Let's say that She-Hulk was a certain kind of tone in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Then the She-Hulk series came out, which was very fourth wall breaking and all that. And I know that that's what She-Hulk used to do years ago, but because the show did it, now in the new comics, it's more like the show than the past She-Hulk run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I just said it wasn't confusing.
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what's annoying.
I just, when I worry, and I know we don't know, but I am worried about DC being purchased, and I look at what, and like I said, I'm probably wrong, but I look at the greatness of that early 2000s era that we were just talking about, and the greatness, how everything went through the Avengers and it was so good and blah, blah. Yeah. And what happened for it to get where it is so bad now? And the one thing that sticks out is Disney bought the company. So that's my worry is another big media, because DC has been owned by a movie studio forever. But now another studio buying it, I wonder how it's going to affect it. So,
well, Marvel's been in trouble for a while now, and everybody knows the story about it. They wanted quantity over quality.
Yeah.
And that bit them in the ass.
Uh-huh.
Now, most of the world doesn't have any faith in Marvel movies and TV shows, right?
Yeah.
And I've been telling people for years, yes, it's been shit, but just wait for Doomsday, wait for Secret Wars, and that's how they're going to write their shit.
Yeah, I think Doomsday is going to be great. Secret Wars will be awesome.
But so many people just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Endgame, after Endgame, it was just crap.
But you know what? They were on top of the world after Endgame.
Yeah.
They literally, they could do no wrong. And then what did they do? They decided to do wrong. Who's the best current creator at Marvel, in your opinion? OmniBeau's opinion. Who's the best creator?
Who is the best creator? Man, that's tough, man.
In the early 2000s, you could say it was Brian Michael Bendis. Who do you say in 2026?
I mean, it's got to be people that are working at DC, I'd have to say.
I'm saying, but for Marvel, just specifically for Marvel.
Oh, sorry, for Marvel.
Who's the top creator for Marvel right now? Is it Zdarsky? Is it?
Actually, you know what? I love Chip Zdarsky.
Okay.
I love everything about that man. And yes, anytime I see Chip Zdarsky's name on something now, I want to read it. So I think you answered my question for me.
So is Zdarsky the 2026 version of Bendis?
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's a bit early to say that. Maybe ask me after Armageddon,
Yeah.
because that's his new thing that he's working on. I like Zdarsky, not only because of his humor, but when you watch Zdarsky be interviewed and talk, and if you read his newsletters and all that, it's like I'm doing it or you're doing it. It's like a mate.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. He's somebody that you can say, man, I'd love to have a beer with that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's somebody
with other people, it's a bit.
Say, I would love to be friends with that guy. He'd be a great
like Irezi has just said Hickman, right? Now, my favorite Fantastic Four run of all time is Hickman.
Yeah.
My favorite Avengers run of all time is Hickman. There was another the Shield series by Hickman is unbelievable. I love that. So Hickman is very hard to not say, but there's a few times with the Hickman things I feel like I'm reading Grant Morrison where I'm like, what? Like, this is just a little bit above my head.
He's not as weird as Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
Morrison would go above your head and take
North
pride
is a good one.
What was that?
Jed McKay and
Jed
Ryan
McKay,
North.
yeah. I love
They're good ones.
Ryan North.
There is a new Hickman Spider-Man comic coming out soon, which I'm very excited about because I've been dying for Hickman to do Spider-Man.
Was it a mistake to end the Ultimate Universe?
I think it's a swerve.
Okay.
I don't think they are ending it. I think that it's a massive swerve. But the Ultimate Universe started really strong, but then it just died, man. Like, I just don't care anymore.
Well, Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman started super, super strong.
And the Ultimates. But now I just don't care. You know, like, I'm still reading Ultimate Spider-Man and well, actually, it finished. But you know, you've just got. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think it didn't continue the way it should have, in my opinion.
I just when Ultimate Spider-Man started out, Peter, MJ married, having kids. I used it as, look at that. That's a giant fu to everybody that said Peter and MJ are never going to be together. One more day was good. Blah, blah. I'm like, look at this. Here's Peter and MJ together. People love it. The book's selling like crazy. I wish that would have stayed. I wish that would have stayed.
You know what bothers me about these alternate universes? Because I'm a massive Ultimate Universe guy, right? But what pisses me off is when you take characters that are meant to be good, like Colossus, and Magic and the Hulk and all that, right? You have these characters that are meant to be good, and because it's an alternate universe, they're now bad, right? Now, hear me out. If you explain the backstory as to why these good characters are now bad, that's fine. I get it. But if you're not going to explain that, that pisses me off, because you're telling me that something can happen in the real world, the 616, that can make Colossus and Magic take over a part of the world and be dictators. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Magic and Colossus would never do that in a million years. But in the Ultimate Universe, they do. Right?
You know what, though? Look at what happened to Reed Richards and the Maker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, they explained
they gave you reasons why, you know.
Yeah.
They, you know, I really enjoyed that. I loved reading all that Ultimate stuff where Reed descended into the Maker. It really is. I want to see an omnibus or compendium of that. Give me that whole turning of, you know, of what made him become evil. And it's weird because it had to do with, of course, it had to do with his stepfather in the Ultimate Universe. And, you know, I love that they gave us reasons why.
Yeah.
There is no reason why, for what you're talking about with Magic and Colossus.
Yeah.
That we didn't get a chance to read the story. So I think that's why so many people are fans of the Maker, and they love the Maker's evil, but they never really bought in to other people being evil.
Like, I've read stories where Spider-Man's gone evil and bad in other universes and all that, and they've explained why. Like, look at the Punisher Spider-Man. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that one. I do
So
remember
it was,
I remember the House of M. The House of M Spider-Man issues. I really, really enjoyed those a lot.
yeah, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that's
it was
heartbreaking.
really great. He's such a hero when everybody thinks he's a mutant. And
Yeah.
I mean, that was a crazy story. I forgot who wrote that. Did Bendis write that? I forgot who wrote that, but
I can't remember either.
God,
but in this what if comic, it was what if Spider-Man became the Punisher, right?
I've never saw never heard it.
And that character has come back recently in something I can't remember. And instead of webs, it's bullets,
Oh wow.
Yeah, and his symbol is very like Spider-Man 2099, where it's like a skull spider, and they explain why Peter can turn that way. But don't just dump us in there and be like, okay, Spider-Man's the Punisher now. No.
You've got to give there's got to be reason.
Job and right.
Goomba guy says it was Bendis. So thanks, Goomba. I appreciate it, man.
We've got about 20 minutes left, man.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking I got to wrap up because we're getting close for you going to work. By the way, I really appreciate you doing this. And just for everybody wondering, the reason I started early is because I had to get OmniBeau before he went to work. And I really appreciate you waking up early and doing this. It means a lot.
Yeah, man. I'll do it anytime for you guys, man. I love being invited onto things, so don't worry.
Oh, it's been great. It's been as good. This interview has been as good as I thought it was going to be. I feel like
this could be 4 hours.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think because I love talking comics with somebody that really gets them. You know what I mean?
Well, if you ever want to do this on your Friday night, my Saturday day, or your Saturday night, my Sunday,
like on a weekend, we get some time. Hell yeah.
Then I can be here for a while.
James wants to know if you voted in the 2026 Most Wanted Marvel Omnibus poll yet.
I did actually, and I haven't seen your video yet. Do you want to know my picks?
Yeah, mine's good. I mean, mine's good because I love my picks.
Do you want to know my picks?
Yeah, I love my picks were my number one was Iron Man by Matt Fraction and Salvador La Roca. I love that Iron Man run.
Yeah.
That was my favorite last year. What?
Samantha's here. Hey, Samantha.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Look at that. I'm being grouped with you. I love it.
Oh, she's fantastic. Everybody needs to go check out Samantha on TikTok. She does some great TikToks, man.
Oh, I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, she's really good, man. There's one TikTok she did that I so want to steal off her, but I just can't because it's obvious I'd steal it, She did this one. She did this one where she takes the audio from Stone Cold Steve Austin going like, and then I drank a beer, and then I ate a hot dog, and then I did this, and then I did, and every time he does that, she puts down like an omnibus. And then
another beer, Austin.
And it's like, oh man, that was such a good one.
It's fantastic. I got to check her out.
My voting really pissed me off because when I started, it obviously starts with like Avengers, right? And I am dying for that era that we spoke about, Disassembled, Dark Reign. I want all of that in omnibuses, right? I want Siege, Fear Itself, Civil, all of that, right? So my 10 were all Avengers, right?
Okay, what was your number one?
Well, that's when I went, no, I can't do that, right? Because there's so much Spider-Man that I want. There's so much Punisher that I want. So I split it up. And I went 1, Spider-Man Clone Saga Aftermath, Volume 1, because obviously, I want that Spider-Man era. Now, another way that I vote, which is really selfish, but it's my votes, is I love selling my trades and my hardcovers when an omnibus gets announced, right? And when you have runs that are really convoluted with their trades, I love having it all in one book.
Yeah, I love Civil War because of all that stuff.
Yeah. So my second one was Spider-Man, Marvel Knights, and Sensational Spider-Man.
All right.
I'd love to have all that together.
Mm-hmm.
My third one is the Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly by Yost and David. So it would have both Ben Reilly. It would have Ben Reilly and Kane's Scarlet Spider together.
All right.
Number 4 was Punisher by Greg Rucka.
Oh yeah, I think that was my number 5. I think I love that run. And the artwork, Marco Cacchetto's artwork was outstanding.
My
I love that
5th
run.
is Punisher Max Companion.
Oh yeah,
because it pisses me off. It pisses me off having all Punisher Max in Omnis, and then you got a few trades of the one shots. 6 is Punisher War Journal by Matt Fraction.
Oh yeah.
7, which was hard not to put higher because I really want this. It's Avengers, Dark Avengers by Brian.
Yes, that was on my 10 as well. Look at that.
Which includes Utopia, Exodus, and Siege.
Exodus, yeah, Siege.
Number 8 is Avengers World because it's like a Jonathan Hickman companion.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of the Squadron Supreme and Hyperion, and Hyperion was really big in Avengers World. And then 9 and 10 is ones that I can't believe we haven't gotten yet, and that's Avengers: The Initiative and Avengers Academy. That was so good, man. That Avengers Initiative and Academy, it was so good. And if I had an 11, it would be like Avengers Arena and Avengers Undercover. That's my ones.
I did Fraction, LaRocca, Iron Man 1. It was hard for me to go number 2. I went with Wolverine by Benjamin Percy. It's just one of my favorite runs. I love that run of books. It was so good. I love Jeff Bannister, who was a CIA agent that became his friend. All that stuff is so good.
Yeah.
Then I went with Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man Big Time as number 3. I really want.
I think both of these are wasted votes, man. I think both of these are going to come no matter what.
Well, I'm reading because I told you I'm reading Brand New Day, so I want everything chronological.
Yeah.
So I have it to read. So I read it right when it's when I'm there. Then I did 4 was Civil War Omnibus. So I want a Civil War Omnibus in the worst way.
Yeah.
And then 5 was 5 Punisher. It might have been 5 might have been Punisher by Rucka and Cacchetto. Then I'm just off the top of my head. Then I had Dark Avengers. I had Fantastic Four by DeFalco because in the 90s, that was I was working and I was a secret comic geek and I was buying all single issues of the DeFalco run and Malice and all that stuff is so good. That stuff is so good. I have that. I have D.G. Chichester's Daredevil, which was right after Nascenti. Yeah. And they're putting out volume 2 of Nascenti. So it would make sense. The next run would be Chichester. Yeah. And then I had, you'll love this, the event Dark Reign Companion. I would love the Dark Reign era. Might be my favorite. It might be my favorite of all that stuff. I love
you and me, brother. You and me. Absolutely.
I love the reason I love the Fraction LaRocca run is because that's got World's Most Wanted in it, which is basically the Dark Reign era. Iron Man trying to keep Norman Osborn from getting the technology. I just think that's so great. By the way, the Rick Remender Punisher sucks, but the one thing that's good in it is the Dark Reign part.
I would love it if I could get rid of all of those Fear Itself hardcovers.
Yes. Fear Itself would be a great omnibus. Fear Itself is collected in it's a Thor.
Thor.
The story is collected in the Thor omnibus.
Yeah.
But we need entire Fear Itself only omnibus. That would be great.
And Secret Invasion. I know they've done an omnibus of it, but there is so much missing.
It's right here.
There is so much missing from that.
And all it has is Secret Invasion and the New Avengers. And I think it's got the New Avengers and Mighty Avengers in it.
Yeah.
But it needs so much more.
We need a companion.
Yeah, it needs so much more. It really, really does. Well, listen, OmniBeau, I know you're up against the clock and you got to go. I want to thank you, buddy. I really appreciated this. This was fantastic.
I feel the same, man. I really appreciate being invited, especially when you've got so many people talking to you all the time. It's good to know that I'm not out of sight, out of mind. So I really appreciate that, Ray.
Oh, you were one of the first people I wanted to get on the roundtable. Is just going to be me and another content creator talking comics. And I'm so glad that I was able to get you. It means the world to me. I really appreciate it. And I owe you, brother. Whenever you just let me know when you want to collect, I owe you. I thank you so much for being
yeah, man. Hey, I'd love to have you on Aussieverse and do the reverse.
Oh, let me know. Let me know. I will gladly. I've watched you guys. I love you guys. I'd love to be on.
Great.
Just let me know. Everyone, listen, I'll end this show. And then I just want this show because it's such a great interview with OmniBeau. I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to end this show. I'm going to go to the bathroom and stuff. And then I'll start a ChubbyRay Comics live in about 10 or 15 minutes. So it'll be a completely different broadcast. In the background. But man, I really appreciate it, brother. I hope you have a good day at work. I hope you sell lots of comics. And I can't wait till I'm sure we'll end up on a near mint condition broadcast soon, or I can't wait to see you again. And get hold of me. Get hold of me. I
wasn't sure because, the panel that we did, everyone was invited back but me. And I went,
we did the compendium. Did we do the compendium, right? Was it the compendium?
No, I'm talking what did we do? It was you.
Marvel Celeste. We did solicits.
Yeah.
I'll ask them next time. I'll go, hey, where's OmniBeau's invite? Because I seem to be, I've done the last couple of Marvel solicits and DC solicits. Yeah. By the way, are you like me? I am honored. If Omar asked me to do anything, I'd jump through burning hoops to do it because I love the guy is so nice. He is a genuine person and he's just very nice. I'd do anything for him.
Yeah, but I feel that way about a lot of people in this community. I feel that way about Omar. I feel that way about you now. I feel that way about James. I feel that way about Omnidog, Batmantha. There are people that all they have to do is message me and say, I need you this time, this day. You've just got to work out the time conversion for me. Or otherwise I need to go to James.
I'm telling you, it's awesome because I come from a world of entertainment in radio that's so competitive and everybody can't wait to stab you in the back. It was so weird. Of course, radio's dead now because of the internet, but it was so weird to come from that extremely competitive field to get into something as wonderful as the comic community has been.
I tell you what, though, I do
really wonderful. It's really good.
I tell you what, I do get jealous though because I honestly feel like because we're an Australian show and our times are different, it's a lot harder to get to subs where Americans get it a lot easier. I've seen channels that have either not been around as long or, in my opinion, aren't that great. And their subs are just always climbing, while me on Aussieverse, I'm trying so hard and I'm promoting so hard and you're getting like such a slow climb. And it's like, God, why am I bothering? Lucky I do this for fun and not in hopes of, retiring with YouTube,
Yeah, because you don't make any. I gotta be, know what? You can make some, but you don't make a lot of money with YouTube.
No,
it's just more fun. Hey, Tom, make sure we plug Aussieverse in every show from now on. I love it. Because I always plug Sean at Comic Pals and I plug Omar, and not that he needs it, but and Jess, you know what I mean? I'll make sure we plug Aussieverse every show too.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it, brother. It's great to spend time with you. And we'll talk again soon. We'll talk soon. Everybody, this has been a Roundtable. I'm ChubbyRay. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with ChubbyRay Comics Live. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for the people that subbed.
Awesome. Yeah, sub to Aussieverse. Later, guys.